I really get to show these screens because it's over so quickly. Like, it doesn't always have to download something very large. But even there, I almost missed it. I like that last one from last expansion where it was like the blue, whatever, the ocean scene going on. But yeah, last time I did the first 10K draft with this expansion because that was obviously my first episode playing in this expansion, and so that's what I always do. And so I went 1 and 2 out of the best of 3 set. It's the play 3 games regardless of record, but it's always a best of 3. So I did like maybe the first one I went 0 and 2, I think. The second one, it should let you kind of recap exactly, you know, like an analysis of games where you can rewatch your whole game through. I guess that's why it's a good thing I have it on video, but whatever. You know, I'm surprised more card games don't do that. Or I always like to feature, like, at the end of the game, it'll let you, like, look at what was in your opponent's hand and everything. So, like, when it's over, whether you win or lose, it'll show, like, okay, here's what they had in their hand. So you could have known, oh, they were 1 piece away from Exodia or some crazy combo. Or, you know, oh, maybe I didn't make a misplay even though I lost because you know, they had something that they could have dealt with me anyway. You know, I don't see what the problem with doing that would be. They changed how this kind of mastery training system worked, but yeah, I went 0 and 2, I think, in one of them. Then I went 1 and 2, obviously, so I still lost the set. And then I went 2 and obviously 1 in the other one. That was kind of an intense, down to the wire one. And again, I'm not going to use any excuse to say like, oh, you know, it's some kind of case of, oh, they're tryhards and they've studied what the cards are, because obviously I'm going in blind and I don't know what any of the cards actually are. And I also, oh, you know what? I think I forgot to change even my category and stuff. Yeah, whenever I do those, I go in blind, and so that's kind of fun. It's like only a week into the expansion, I guess. Like, it would be the Tuesday before, so like I do it on a Monday. So the last Monday I play is like the last episode of the expansion is the last day of the previous expansion. So then it's a whole week into the next expansion that I do the 10K draft. But whatever, that just happens to be the next time that I play it. And then I pretty much given up trying to play Magic Online, obviously, because I would always say, oh, if I win a best of 3 or something, I would play that at the end of an episode. But I barely have time, and I'm fine with doing this series still just to kind of keep up with my collection. So we have red and black is going to be the emphasis of what I'm doing in this expansion. So we kind of segue from last expansion was almost a punishment where I'm playing my 2 least favorite colors, white and blue, even though blue kind of grows on me because of how much I like hexproof and, you know, sort of countering spells, even if that's against blue's nature. And so now we move on to red and black, which is kind of more in the middle tier, where I do kind of like them a little bit. I've messed around with Sarkhan a little bit when I played red before, and I especially like the aesthetic of black. That might be my favorite, just the way the cards look and the whole almost Cthulhu Lovecraftian vibe that some of them have, or just kind of the whatever dark decrepit art. Even the Tim Burton card back I kind of like a lot. The I think I almost switched to that, and I should be using it for I forget what I was using actually. Oh no, I was using this one because I feel like it represents black and red more than just this representing black. But whatever, I guess my hero could represent red and Sarkhan, and my card back could represent black. But whatever. So I do like all the aesthetic of it. Obviously, green is my favorite, so maybe we'll do that next expansion. We'll go back to using green like I was using full time at the beginning, and maybe actually try to ladder for once or do something serious with it in the next expansion. But so here I'm going to try to actually make a deck between red and black. So I'll start, the first deck I'll make is a red and black hybrid, so it has almost equal amounts of both, if I can do that. Then later on I'll switch up and split them in 2, like how I did with this, right? That's what I did with red and blue and white, is I did a hybrid one. So as much as I hate one, I hated, you know, them together even more. And then I'll split them up later and try to compete them against each other and see which one does better in the course of an episode. So like I'll do a best of 3 with each one and see, you know, which one wins more, etc. So we'll go ahead, we'll do red and black. And to what extent I want to do it, I don't know, right? Because what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to do timeless, traditional timeless. Wait, there's a lot more shit in here than I remember before. Let's just do timeless overall, and people always tell me not to do that, but why is that even showing up? Because it's something in Frodo Sauron's Bane. I mean, it's quite a badass title. But see, he doesn't even get full credit because he wasn't the one who destroyed it. He still tries to keep it at the end, and then it's only because of Gollum that he, you know, it's sort of still happenstance that it ends up getting destroyed. As additional cast, it costs a spell. Like, what is the theme that I'm really going for? Like, I want to do dragons, mostly. right? So you'd be able to, a Balrog of Morgoth would be the perfect description because of this sort of black flame deck that we're trying to go for, because it's like, that's what they say, right? Gandalf fell to shadow and flame, right? So it's a perfect combination. So is there actually a Balrog in this game that you could make as a card? I can't remember. Balrog Durin's Bane. Flame of Udun. I mean, it does make a lot of sense. Additional cast to cost a spell, sacrifice a creature, or pay 4. That's not really very fun, though. That's even the moment where he gets grabbed by that. When a legendary creature can... You're saying Gandalf is just some random creature? When a legendary creature an opponent controls dies, the Balrog Flame is put on the bottom of his owner's library. That's kind of... not even the point, though. It's a 5-mana 7/7, so I don't mind that. I don't have any of those wild cards, though, so I can't do either one. The Balrog Durin's Bane. This spell costs 1 less he cast for each permanent sacrifice this turn. Haste. It can't be blocked. It's a 7-mana 7/5. It can't be blocked except by legendary creatures. When it dies, destroy target artifact or creature opponent controls. I'm not a big fan of either one, but the statting of this one is at least okay, and it would sort of fit with what we're going for. Let's just see if what we have. I do have a mythic wildcard to play around with here. And again, even though the overall format of this series was like, oh, I'm trying to collect every green card in the game because of how much I like green. On that winding road, I end up getting distracted and crafting all kind of other shit for the other colors. So I'm not going to pretend like, that is still the format, but it doesn't mean I'm not allowed to do other things. Yeah, some of the mechanics of black I'm not the biggest fan of. I do still like it, but I want some of the ones that are like annoying. Like, let me try to remember what some of the cards I crafted for it were that I occasionally would use, or even when I would use them, it would be sort of along the same lines of I would have like a mana generating minion that would give you 1 mana of any color, like the Carotid for green, and then I would end up using something and just discard your hand. So I wouldn't actually have black lands, but I might have a black card just for the fuck of it, or I might have blue hexproof minions, but I wouldn't actually have hexproof at all, or I mean I wouldn't have blue lands to be able to play it. Some of the stuff we obviously got from the draft that we just did, so I generally enjoyed that, but it does make me wonder a little bit with the draft. So like again, I went 1 and 2, and it's just like, I think what I resolved is that I should pick a few higher cost cards and try to play more for the mid-range or even late game control style, even in a draft, as weird as that is. Maybe it's just this day and age that power creep is such a thing that you can rely on getting to that point, or because it like people would actually last out a super long time, and then I would end up losing because I'm kind of making my deck a little more low cost aggro, just because you feel like you can always play those kind of things. You'll get a chance to play all your low cost cards. You might not get a chance to play something late game, but everything just sort of drags out so long. So I could try something with Toxic. There's nothing in black that's really speaking to me, except for, again, the appearances. Like, I love the way that looks, but what would be the sort of mechanics that I'm going for? I'm going for dragons pretty much exclusively as red. I'm not sure what I'm trying to do as black. Maybe I should just have a shit ton of removal, since that's something I don't really use very often. Just trying to see if I remember one of these cards. Removal or something that sort of throttles their ability to actually play stuff, which I can't really remember. Things that make them discard cards, for example. But no, like there's this one that I made, which I can't remember now, which makes them, every time they play a spell, they have to like discard a card, or they have to pay a certain amount of life or something. It's like a 5-cost card. None of this stuff I really remember using or liking too much. Not that I really played as my too much. You know what I thought of doing when I first started playing? I said like, well, I'll exclusively play green and Constructed just because I like green so much. But then I would save drafts for playing black. Like I would only play as black in a draft. Grima over here, which they completely ruined that whole scene where Saruman dies in the movies though, because he gets to whatever, that's not actually how he dies at all. Saruman at the end of the story, even after the ring is destroyed, goes to the Shire and burns it, right? And that sort of is meant to be a coming of age proving worth moment for the hobbits, like, oh, look how much we've grown, that we can kind of deal with this on our own now. based on and they're all seen to like, oh, they're all taller now than they used to be based on what they've been through on the journey and stuff like that. Human advisor. Your opponents can't gain life. Sacrifice another creature. Target player lives in 1 life. If it was legendary, amass 2 orcs. What else do we have here? Some of these are kind of underwhelming for being such major Lord of the Rings characters, and in a way I dislike the... Oh yeah, this is my kind of thing. So maybe black should be all about just that. Like I'll do discarding, or I'll do... what would it be called exactly that's preventing them from casting a spell? It's not like a key word, it's just kind of a annoying mechanic, right? I can't remember. You could do toxic. Everybody loves this card. I see that like a million times. Let's see. Come on, where is it? This one. Yeah, Painful Quandary. Of course, I can't make another one. Whenever opponent casts a spell, they lose 5 life or they discard a card. So let me maybe build it around this. I think I ended up using this in a draft at some point. Whenever opponent draws a card, it deals 1 damage to the player. Destroy target creature, its controller. So like what you do with this is you just leave it out there and then just... You're doing it to punish them for drawing cards, right? Like the whole game. You're not even doing it for the effect. His controller draws 2 cards. It doesn't seem really all that good, but... Let me think. What exactly? I like the criteria to be very clear and firm. So... What you have is a simple ability to... This looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh card art, like whereas Joey and somebody like, you know, Power of Friendship or something, but in this case, obviously with the blood and a little darker tone to it. So the flying and shit like that will be left to... Deals damage to a player, they sacrifice a creature. This thing I think I just got into the draft, but I didn't end up using it. I always identify like that subliminal effect of Magic the Gathering drafts, like, oh, you know, you're incentivized to take the best cards that you want to just have for your collection. So like, oh, take every mythic card and take, you know, whatever, even if it ends up not being the best thing for the draft at that time, right, together. So you'll make a bad deck, but you'll do it just for the sake of... This is also from that draft. This spell costs 1 less to cast. End of your end step, sacrifice a non-demon creature. If you do, create a token that's a copy of it. Sacrifice a non-demon creature. This is actually a really good card. I think I used that at a draft at some point. In fact, most of these cards probably just are from drafts. Troll can't be blocked unless... except by 3 or more creatures. Again, some of these cards are just kind of cool on their own. Or maybe I should do like black dragons too. You know, and that's exactly what it's even called. But I just mean like black dragons that you can play with black mana. And of course, this does synergize. Like all the stuff that has to do with dragons, it doesn't mean they have to be red for the effects to work. When it enters the field, target creature an opponent controls uses minus... That's not even good though. What the fuck, man? -3/-3 till end of turn to only a single creature for 7 mana. So that's even worse value than a lot of the red ones that I always make fun of. Let me try to think, like, how much land would I typically put in something like this? If you have a 60 card deck, you could have like maybe 15 and 15 of each of them. So that's 30, and then, you know, because I get screwed on land so much that I may as well do that. But let me actually see what I was using in the other one then. Painful Quandary is the one there. I think somebody actually suggested for me to use that too, since I hate, you know, or like I'm trying to counter people from using spells. So I would even use that like in my green deck. Again, a green deck that only has green land that has like a lot of hexproof blue minions, and it has like a lot of, you know, it even had like that thing in there, Painful Quandary. Again, just even though you don't have black or blue land, you have the Carotid and stuff that gives you 1 mana of any color. So that kind of works though. Yeah, let me see for like this hybrid one. Not that this should be the example to live by. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Really, that's it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. So maybe like 10 and 10, and then you'll have 40 cards. That doesn't seem like enough somehow. But the one thing I like about hybrid decks that maybe, even though I generally don't like hybrid decks, the one thing I typically like is that most of the cards only require like 1 mana of a particular color. So it's like most of it's interchangeable. Like it'll be a 6-cost card, but it'll require 5 mana of any color, and then 1 mana of, you know, black or red or whatever here. So that part I do find, like, it's not too punishing. Typically, things aren't saying, like, oh, you need, like, 5 black only. Or if you do, then it must be really good, like the Gigantosaurus thing. 5 mana 10/10, and the only price to pay is the fact that you need 5 of the same color mana, green, which I would do anyway, because that's the only color I like. But Phyrexian Espionage, as additional... Okay, so what was I looking for? Like, discard, or... Let me look at the wording of that again. The Painful Quandary. Draw 2 cards. Don't really care about that. Whenever opponent casts a spell, they lose 5 life unless they discard a card. Opponent casts a spell. Whenever it attacks, whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player. This is mythic, and I don't remember making it. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, one of your opponents may pay 1 life. If they do, they draw a card. For 7, discard X cards. Exile top X cards of your opponent's library. You may play lands and cast spells from among them exiled this way without paying their mana cost. That is an interesting thing for sure, but it's so expensive. You'd pay 7 mana and you discard... What, you can discard as many cards as you want? Like... I like the idea behind it, but let me try to think here. If I have a specific criteria, what I would use is... Yeah, black is a little harder to make a decision. For red, I'll just do dragons, and I won't even give a shit. Like, I'll just do every dragon I have, most of which aren't very good value. Can't block when it enters. If you cast damage for each swamp you control. So this sets the criteria for what I want. Whenever they cast a spell... So it should either be discard or just anything that makes them lose 1 life, right? So make your opponent discard a card. That's all I want. Target opponent discards card. If mana from a treasure was spent to cast a spell, instead the player reveals their hand. Isn't there that one that we always see people use that I complain about? It's like a 1-cost card that makes them reveal their hand. I can't remember the name of it, but I'm pretty sure it's black. I must not have it. Ego Drain. Target opponent reveals their hand. Ego Drain is what happens whenever I beat anybody with any of these gimmick shitty decks, because you know that your deck must be better because you're a try-hard clown. Target player reveals their hand. If you choose a non-land with 2 or less, they discard the card. So if you pay the cleave cost, if you do, remove the words in square brackets with mana value 2 or less. So it's not really worth it. Target reveals their hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it. Non-creature, non-land. So what would be left? Just like a spell? Huh. Target opponent reveals their hand, or like a planeswalker, I guess would count. Reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. They discard the card. If you don't control a fairy, exile card from your hand. Yeah, why not just use whatever the fuck the 1 card is that I'm talking about that everybody fucking uses? Which again, it reveals your hand and you can just discard anything from it, I think. Target opponent reveals non-creature, non-land card in their hand. You choose a card. So many different ones that do the same thing. Discard my hand. When it enters, they discard a card. Corrupt court official, like the Supreme Court right currently now that everybody's complaining about. We need to reform it, but... I sense some bias in that too, like how, they would say, people will complain, oh, there's too many conservative justices, but that's just because they want liberal justices, and that's how it was before. So like, it's always just one side trying to play against the other for its own benefit. Target reveals their hand. You may choose a creature, enchantment, planeswalker card. They discard that card. Isn't this just better? I guess it costs 2 though. Sacrifice an enchantment. Gains flying until end of turn, so... They reveal their hand and you discard a creature, enchantment, or planeswalker from it. So basically anything you want. Beginning of your end step, if you discarded, don't care about that. Additional cost to cast it. Sacrifice a permanent. Don't really care too much about this. Power is equal to the number of permanent cards in your graveyard. Toughness equal to that number plus 1. Discard a card or sacrifice a permanent. This could be good like later in the game. But again, what is the theme to this deck? Like, is it going to be... I like it within a more fixed criteria where it has to be something very specific. Every card has to mention discarding, whether it be for you or your opponent. How about that? And that is even what I'm looking at, but not everything really makes sense. Target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a creature or do battle or battle card. Wait, what? Choose a creature or battle card from it. If you do, they discard it. If you don't, incubate 3. Enters, each opponent discards a card. There was something with this that you could build around just fully. There was something else with this. Like, every time you play like a bug, right? When you play an insect, it makes them discard a card, or whenever you attack them with it. So then there was a card that makes every card in your deck can be considered an insect. So there was some sort of thing with that. So it's not actually this card that has to do with that, but when it enters, target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose an artifact or creature, discard the card. Target opponent discard. So how many cards? If I had 10 lands of each, I'd have 20 cards within each color here. Target opponent discards 2 cards. Target opponent reveals their hand. You may... Okay. They discard the card, so I'm fine with one of those. I tend to like to do only one. So that's all black's going to be. Just make them discard stuff, I guess. Discards 2 cards. Mills 2... Wait, what? Some of these are pretty good. I mean, it's not that expensive. They discard 2. They mill 2. And they lose 2 life. They reveal their hand. You may choose a non-land card. They discard it. And this does punish some of these longer-winded, annoying fucking decks that people have. When a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, may pay 1 life. If they do, they draw a card, though. That's kind of a bad effect. 3 mana, 3/3. I feel like this effect is never going to actually fucking happen, though. This is the thing. It's fun, but... I'll do it, but I don't know why. Additional cost to cast it. Discard a card. Okay, I guess it's 3 mana 5/5. Also known as just having a 3 mana 5/5 as green for like no additional cost. Target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card. If you do, discard it. If you don't, okay, I don't really care about that. See, even this I'm allowed to play as one of my favorite cards probably for black. 3 mana 7/6. At the beginning of your upkeep, discard a card. So again, whether it's me discarding or them discarding, that'll be the sole criteria that I guess I'm using here. Choose target opponent. If they lost life, they reveal their hand. You choose a non-land card and they discard it. Otherwise, they discard a card. If they lost, so either way, they just discard a card. And this is obviously from the draft that we just did. Discard a card, okay, gains indestructible. If there are 4 more creatures, transform it into power and toughness equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Discard okay, same thing. 4 mana, 3/3. I don't know how much of that we're really going to benefit from. They discard 2 cards. Create a Wicked Roll token attached to up to 1 target creature you control. Gets +1/+1. Target opponent discards 2 cards. Flying 2/2 at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep. If they have 2 or fewer cards in their hand, it deals 2 damage to them. I don't know, man. Some of this is a little bit... I'll do it, but... Rankle's Prank. Each player discards 2 cards. Each player loses 4 life. Each player sacrifices 2 creatures. Some of these are getting too expensive, so maybe I don't want them. When it enters, each opponent loses 3 life unless they sacrifice a non-land permanent or discard a card. That's fine with me. Shield Dread, without any sort of subtitle to her, though. When each opponent sacrifices a non-token creature or planeswalker. And it always confuses me when it says each opponent. Like, there's no 2v2 format in this, right? Like, or 1v2 or anything. Right, it must be meant for some real-life card text in which formats like that are played, but exile it, return it to battlefield transformed. For each opponent, destroy up to 1 target creature planeswalker they control. They discard 3 cards, then mill 3 cards. I guess it's fine. This thing I also was using for the lantern, I guess. Right, somebody had suggested maybe those 2, and I made them both and started using them. So again, they're suggesting always not on the criteria of, oh, this is meta, just that it fits into something that I like. You draw 2 cards, and each opponent discards 2 cards. Each player loses 2 life. When it enters the battlefield, opponent discards a card. I don't really want too many minions or anything, so that's basically all we have then. 13 cards, huh? What if I do 15, 15, and then 30 land or something? That's not really going to be enough. I don't want to have multiple copies of the same thing either. Let me think if there's something else I can do that was lower cost. Mostly I want them to discard stuff. I don't want to discard stuff for a benefit per se. Discard a card, no. I mean, I'm not a big fan of some of these, but I guess I'll do it. Or no. That's the whole point, is that I'm trying not to do that. So I need 6 more cards. I have to deal with this. Target opponent, no, I already have that. Reveals their hand, you choose an online card, they discard it. Create a tap Power Stone token. Okay, I did that one. Some of these are like just too similar to each other though. Fine, I'll try that one. Even some of these I wasn't entirely happy with. We'll do that. Some of them are too expensive too. And when it enters, each opponent discards a card. 4 mana, 2/3, really? Return target. Okay, the blue thing isn't even going to come into play. Again, these are all cards that are questionable in their own right, but what exactly is this? Add 1 black, channel, discard it, mill 3 cards, and return a creature planeswalker from your graveyard to your hand. This ability costs 1 less to activate each legendary creature you control. I don't really care about that. Each opponent sacrifice a creature. I don't like the ones that make me have to do it too, though. Discards 2 cards, not really worth it. You get like 1 more lower cost thing here. Beginning of your end step. Like, where are all the ones that are going to cost them life, though? Like even that Planeswalker, I don't get it. Didn't that mention something about discarding a card? Or I guess it makes them draw a card. That stupid Planeswalker that I had used in like a draft at some point. Like, this doesn't really have to do with discarding, though. Yeah, this guy I almost wanted to use. When they draw, its controller draws 2 cards, destroy target creature. I kind of like it, but it doesn't really maybe fit exactly with what I'm doing. We'll just stick entirely to this, which is maybe a bit narrow. What else? We just need 1 more. Pyrexia? Oh no, that's not even black though. You draw 2 cards and each opponent discards 2 cards. Each player loses 2 life. It's so disgustingly expensive though. Read ahead. You may sacrifice a creature if you do. No. Fuck off. There's like nothing really. Let's see if there's like a legendary or a mythic that we could do here, since we already have a decent number of dragons and everything. Or how would I exactly do this? I forgot. Discard and mythic. Would it actually acknowledge what I'm trying to do? Or that could just mean that there's nothing that actually... Fuck. That actually has it. What? Wait, I'm so confused how they fucking do this. Fine, let's just look once more if there's something good that we can make. But I want it to be like mid-cost at least, or like another minion, which we don't have too many. So again, mostly black will just be all dragon. So I'm almost obligated to have that. You know what? Let's just do that one. But does it? No, it doesn't involve. It doesn't involve actually discarding a card though. Okay, let's look for maybe a high-cost one that's going to be like some kind of game-changing shit. Like, what's the highest cost ones that are going to mention this one here, and it is a dragon, or at least it pictures a dragon. Torment of Hailfire. Repeat the following process X times. Each opponent loses 3 life unless they sacrifice an online permanent or discard a card. So, based on whatever you pay, you're going to get... Loses 3. Okay, that's kind of cool, I guess, but I can't even use it. Can't even make it. Whenever it attacks, if defending player has 2 or fewer cards in their hand against flying until end of turn. Target player... Okay, that's not really worth it. 1 less to cast for each creature in your graveyard. When it enters, any number of opponents each discard a card for each of those who didn't discard a card. A mana value 4 or greater. Draw a card. That's so expensive, though. Like, why does it... I don't know, I'm not too happy with it. This is Mythic Herald of Anguish. Improvise is what? Your artifacts can help you cast a spell. Each artifact you tap pays for 1. I'm not really going to have too many of those, so I'm not worried about it. This is at the beginning of your end step, each opponent discards a card. Okay, that is in itself amazing. See, but it's so expensive. At the beginning of your end step, they just discard. So, like, if this sticks around for a long time, as minions are prone to do, and it's also flying, sacrifice an artifact, target creature you get. Yeah, but see, the artifact thing isn't really going to matter. I would do it just for the discard alone. Right, just at the end of every turn, they discard a card, and so if they can't deal with it, that's going to be a problem for them. Let's see. I haven't really looked at black cards too much. So I'm not really too familiar with a lot of these. Or I haven't seen them too much on the other side either. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, they discard a card at random. If they can't, draw a card. I don't know, I just love the effect. You know, I'll waste my 1 mythic card just to say, like, okay, we'll do it. And then at the end of the turn, they discard a card, even if I'm not... I can't tell entirely what the difference is with that. So let me go ahead. We'll put in the... You know, it'll be only dragons that we'll do with the other one. With the red here. And what I will do is... Let me be a little selective. Or it has at least mentioned dragon, but whatever. It should probably... The beginning of your upkeep, if you control 6 or more lands, create a 5/5 red dragon creature with flying. This thing never really had much value for me. In fact, this is a mythic too, so you see how much I've wasted. That is one that I crafted myself. Create a 5/5 dragon. It's a good effect, but you're not going to be able to keep that thing alive. That's a dragon. I don't really care about that. Creatures you control gain haste till end of turn. Create a 5/5 dragons. See, that's still allowable because it at least mentions a dragon. Or, like, even that's the same principle. But I like the haste thing, potentially. For 5, create a 5/5 spirit with flying. Activate only if you control... Okay, never mind. I won't even bother with it. Dragon Barbarian. Add 2. I feel like some of these maybe... No, I'll still do it, though. This is good. Haste. Whenever it attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a dragon and put it in your hand. That's fine. We'll use some of the Sarkhans as well. Whenever you activate an ability of a Sarkhan Planeswalker, it deals 1 damage to any target, which is not really great, but okay. Some of these are going to be so limited in scope. Or you know what my decks never have? Is they never have the ability to actually... What is this? Gets +2/+0. They never have like a great amount of cycling or card draw. Let's just do like the Exodia Sarkhan, all 4 Sarkhans just for the fuck of it. Even though I'll never get a chance to play probably any of them. And then beyond that, we just need like 7 more actual dragons. But I kind of want them to be with flying. But some of this shit is going to be too expensive. Where are some of the better value ones? 5 mana, 5/5. Flying first strike, it is mythic. At the beginning of your upkeep, like even that I'm sold. Just give me a 5 mana 5/5 because most of these dragons aren't good value. This one I'm pretty sure I didn't craft. Beginning of your upkeep, exile 2 target cards from your library. You may play them this turn. If you exile a land card this way, create a 3/1 token. Okay, whatever. I don't care too much about the effect. 5 mana. Don't care about that. Some of these are pretty mediocre value, honestly. They're just so expensive for what they're worth. This thing I kind of like in a way, but... Flying, when it enters, deals 4 damage to each opponent. Not really that special. You know, oh, you would think, oh, each opponent, meaning each minion on the board. Then it would actually be kind of worth it. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, each player... This could have some implication with, like, one of those black cards. Every time they draw a card, they lose 1 life. So this would actually be very good for that. But as it stands, we don't really have anything like that. Spell costs 1 less to cast for each land card you have in your graveyard. You're not really going to have. Convoke is what? You tap. Each creature you tap while casting the spell. I guess. I mean, I always made fun of Convoke because I would use green, and green would have all these minions that I would have anyway. Like, what do you call it? Oh yeah, we should look for some of these hybrid type cards here at the end. But then that would almost not be fair for the overall count. Then you'd have to get rid of like a black card, so let's not even worry about it. I don't even have very many that would be good for that anyway. When it enters, destroy all walls your opponent controls. If the attack defending controller has no walls, deal 2 damage to each creature. Without flying that player controls, fine, I guess. You need like 2 more, preferably low cost. Yeah, I'm actually kind of disappointed by this a little bit. Or you would have like 4 of each of these if you really had your choice. Whenever you commit a crime, create a trap creature token, create a 4/4 Scorpion Dragon. And this is too much work. Defender, whenever instant sorcery spell, put a number of Ember counters on it equal to the number of mana spent. Then if it has 7 or more, remove them, transform it. That seems like a lot of work too. Instant or sorcery spell. I'm not gonna cast fucking 7 spells just like that. Okay, this is a dragon. When it enters, create a treasure token. Fine, I'll just do 3 random dragons here. Just fuck it. But let me get rid of the Dragonborn. This isn't Skyrim, dude. Because I'm more so keen on the dragons that can actually fly. If I wanted a dragon that doesn't have wings, I would just pick a fucking dinosaur and play green, because that's pretty much what they are. Dinosaurs are both wingless birds because they have all the vocal cords of birds and stuff. And they're also basically wingless dragons. And they can't typically breathe fire either. Let's just do 20 of each of these. Or I mean 15. No, wait, only 10. I feel like this isn't going to be enough then, come to think of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'll do black. Which again, I like this as far as the land imagery too and everything. Although I always said a swamp could be considered... swamp could have almost been a hybrid between green and black, right? Rather than just black overall. Black should be something more decrepit than even a swamp. Let's just go ahead and try this. We spent enough time making that. I can obviously mess around and change them around as we go, but I couldn't come up with like a clear theme that I really wanted to do. And the reason why is because all I did was discard, but I saw already like a fun interaction that we could do. Like some of the ones that say every time they draw a card, they take damage, but then you do that like along with this whatever, the dragon mage, and then that makes you discard and draw 7 cards. Like that's gonna fuck you over right there. So some of the stuff with Shield Dread and some of the stuff with whatever, that other guy, the hero, maybe I'll do that when I do the individual black deck, right? When I split them up into 2, then I'll give myself more leeway. So the criteria here is everything for red has to be a dragon or mention a dragon in the card text. So that has every red card has a dragon in the card text. Every black card has discard in the card text, whether again it be from me or my opponent. And we get to use Sarkhan, and we use the little red thing as well. But everything is kind of too high cost. I have this issue with a lot of decks. Or the curve is just not good. Like, you just aren't getting like very efficient plays. And one of the whole memes of dragons that I always make fun of is they're all kind of poor value. Like, oh, you got to pay 5 mana for a 3/3, and oh, maybe that's because it has flying or it has some other good effect, but I don't really care about the effect that much. And so it's like you'd have to make a mythic card just to get a 4 mana 4/4 dragon, but half of the dragon cards have to do with some other element where it's like, oh, you know, it'll reduce the cost of it to the extent that, you know, like the shaman and stuff, the early cost cards, they're all centered around, oh, dragons cost this much less. Or what I really should have done is just have a lot of black dragons in there, but I guess I only had one. And ironically, that was kind of a funny moment. I even said I should put a black dragon in here, and then I look up which black dragons do I have, and it's actually called Black Dragon, and that's the only one I have. Like, I wasn't expecting that, but let's do that. They discard something. This will at least punish them for waiting around. You may choose. So what are you waiting so long for? I get to choose it, right? Why are they waiting so long? All they have to do is consent to showing me their hand. Or, oh, they're going to counter it somehow. But no, now I've become the very thing I swore to destroy. Actually using degenerate spells and tricks and stuff, but was it really worth it? You end up losing a card anyway. So by that same logic of countering the card, you could have just discarded that card, and it's the same fucking result. Okay, this is where you're gonna get totally fucked on. Man, I just... Sarkhan, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. At any 2 mana in combination. How can you counter a fucking... The beginning of next main phase, add additional... What the fuck? That's not a spell, it's a planeswalker. What do you mean, dude? Wait, that's even true. That's not a spell. Planeswalkers should not be considered spells. They're creature spells, and they're creature spells and fucking actual spells, but... Solitude, everybody's favorite city in Skyrim. Second Skyrim reference of the episode with the Dragonborn. They copied Skyrim. When it enters exile to 2 other... 1 other target creature... Wait, where's the double team thing? Oh, once it attacks. I thought it just once you play it. Okay, dude. Like, I love this. Like, I'm not even trying to do anything. Just basic fucking plays. And you're doing all this crazy shit. And some of the stuff we see maybe too much. Or no, this isn't the one I'm thinking of, though. We've seen one card. We see a handful of cards, like, way too often. What is my effect here? Deals 1 damage to each opponent for each, and each creature your opponent controls. Deal 4 damage to target player or planeswalker, which is unfortunate because I guess I want to get the +2, because that doesn't do any good because everything already auto heals. So if I can do that once more, but you're just gonna attack it, so I'm gonna be fucked. This is how Sarkhan always was. You know, he would be always naked and never protected by anything because just everything is so inefficient. We've seen more of the red flare so far. Fitting, red flare, but you know what I mean? Like, we haven't seen too much of the black and the discarding stuff. But what we're seeing already, the flaw with this is the pace is too slow, everything is too inefficient, and I just can't do shit. Deal 2 damage to everything, which is actually good because it'll kill that. Or wait. What? We can block for at least something. I thought if defending player when it attacks. Okay, everything is when they attack, not when they're just summoned. I keep misunderstanding that. Okay. I just can't fucking do anything. That's kind of my problem. You could have done that kind of in the opposite order. Yeah, we're gonna get 1 damage in with the fucking haste over here. Everything costs 1 less, and now you're just kind of burnt out from your hand. I guess that's the downside of using red, that you'll burn out. But no, maybe instead of discarding, I should have had more removal from black. Right, that could be the other hard commit. Or again, it doesn't mean I have to restrict myself to just one thing, but I was trying to just make it very clear. I mean, at least they've sort of burnt out of their hand too, and I'm just dead. They had a lot of just annoying counterplay where everything I tried to do, they just kind of fucked over. But no, you need more of a good station to black, like foundation. Like, you just need to summon minions that sort of do stuff where when they attack, it makes them discard. So at least it's more of a sense of permanence to it. Or instead of just, oh, I play a single spell, and then it makes them discard a single card, and then that's it. Like, that's not really worth it. You need more sort of long-term value if you're going to do this, or even like, you know, whenever they draw, they lose the health, I gain health. I'm not a big fan of even that mechanic, but anything to do with healing I kind of dislike, or I hate the way that healing works in a base sense in this game, because it takes away any of the fun on the board mid-range sort of, again, attacking into minions and trading, which you can't do in the first place. So this game does have some weird mechanics when it comes to that. Like, okay, this guy's kind of cool, but again, his base effects are not really good. In fact, it's kind of bad for you even. This guy actually supposed to be the same one that was in that? That's the same one as that hero card, the Planeswalker that I was just saying that I should use, the one that I can never remember the name of anything, but the one that basically has the passive effect that whenever they draw, they lose 1 life, and then you can make them draw with the other effect. Yeah, see, this is the kind of shit you need. Even though he'll just counter it and easily kill it, at least it lets me get some decent curve out here. Right, like imagine this, dude. Imagine this. Imagine actually letting me play a fucking card in the game. You only have 2 mana. Like, what the fuck can you even do with this shit? Okay, dude. That's so... What is this card, man? What is this card? 2 mana blue, counter target spell. Like, what do you mean, dude? How can you just keep spamming that shit? Let me guess. He'll do it again. Like, what the fuck, man? This might be a lot better value than I'm giving it credit for. Like, on average, what you're countering is going to be... And you can even do planeswalkers, even though those shouldn't be considered spells. This is kind of an irritating card. Add an amount of mana equal to that spell's mana value. Okay, like, again, when am I actually getting to fucking do something on the board? And the answer is never. This guy's base effect is not very good. It's only when you get 7 mana. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player or one of your opponents, its controller may pay 1 life. If they do, they draw a card. Like, I don't want that to actually happen. If I get 1 more land of any color, I can play this and then finally punish them for what they're doing, but I can never get to the point where I can actually do that. Right? I'm already gonna fucking lose before. So annoying, man. See, this is why I don't like blue, even though I just got done playing as it. Like, it's okay, but even black has some similarity with that, where it's going to have a lot of removal and just prevent you from doing stuff. You know, even discarding is of the same principle. I would have rather just had 1 more land, and yeah, how about that? Just discard 2 cards, and or you'll discard 1 to try to counter it. Like, fucking... Bro, don't do this shit, man. Don't do this shit. What are the chances he always has that, too? Like, what are you trying to tell me? He had 3 of those in his hand? Or wait. Like, I understand he's going to have 4 of them in his deck, but at least he's kind of burned out of his hand, but now it doesn't matter. Yeah, try this. Now, you're going to counter it with the 1 card that you have in your hand, which is another mana drain. Holy shit, I'm getting triggered by that spell, though. Bro, please. It'll be another mana drain. You already know it. The people say, oh, don't play in timeless mode, but it's not even about that. It's like you're just playing in an annoying style. Again, I'm not saying let me win. I'm saying let me actually do something. Get something to stick out. Okay, dude. It's a 60 card deck. How the fuck are you going to guarantee that you get that many of them that quickly? Like... Yeah, I played as blue for a whole expansion and I never used that card. That's pretty good value. I mean, only 2 mana and you're countering stuff that consistently is costing more than that. Like, you will not let me play a single card on the board, just to be clear. You will never... I guess I spoke too soon. Or you gotta bait them. You gotta play one that is worse before, and then... You know, it's just not fun sometimes the way this works. Yeah, this is at least fine. So now whenever I hit them, they can draw even more cards and just counter every fucking thing I think of doing. Yeah. I mean, look, man, I'm not questioning even if they have good cards or a good deck. I'm questioning that don't fucking counter every single thing I ever do in my life, because that's just not what I like to play. Or, I mean, that is how I like to play. Like, just let me get something to stick on the board. It doesn't mean I'm going to win even because of it. 6, 7, sacrifice a permanent, fine. But it's not going to be able to be playable. Fuck. You already know, dude. You're going to get the 4th mana drain if you haven't already played it. Okay, sometimes these interactions don't actually have anything to do with what I'm playing, but... Maybe that's his one weakness. If I actually get to play a single card out on the board... Am I missing something with this? Like, is he cycling the same one back, or... Like, he legitimately played... 1, 2... Wait, it felt like he already played the 3rd one, too. again, could I make a deck that beats this deck or counters what he's doing? Actually, maybe not, because apparently you can't fucking play anything. So no matter what I had, right, you would just counter the shit out of it. But the point is, it's just too much. It gets in this power creep kind of bloat thing, and you might say, maybe historic would be, but it just restricts what you're able to play. So some of the fun things I want to use, I won't be able to. Oh yeah, that'll really get him if I can even get it off. Or that kind of bluffs them out, that they have to hold down the bluff button to make it think like, oh, they had a chance to play something to counter that, but they just chose not to. But it lets me sort of know by just me doing that they don't have anything that they could have even potentially played. It's like in Yu-Gi-Oh! With a trap card. It'll keep asking them in an automated thing. It'll keep asking them in an automated way whether or not they want to do something. So at least then you'll know they have an interaction. But if it doesn't ask them, then you know they don't even have the option, so they can't really bluff it. So there is some button in this game that lets you do that, like alt or something, but nobody ever really seems to do that. Let me give it another chance again. I'm not asking to win the game. I'm asking to be able to play the game, which is a big difference. Let me get some of this shit out there, and then you can still deal with it, and you can still win, but... yeah, I don't know what I could really play as a format that would restrict it in a certain way. Like, it's more like an honor code level of restriction, because some of the stuff I'm using might be good and might be newer, but it's, you know, not really super meant for an optimal purpose. So it's just going to be random hodgepodge of stuff that I just find interesting or fun, and so you're going to get your ass beat by good decks. But again, then it doesn't matter what format you're playing in, because whether it's standard or historic, people are still going to be using meta shit. Like, I was getting destroyed in historic oftentimes. Pragmatic Stewards of Valleys something. Okay, hurry up. Why does it take so long to find a match sometimes? Yeah, please don't give me that shit. Again, if they just summon stuff on the board. This game is like too baseline with effects though now. Like, I'm sure it wasn't always like that in the earlier expansion. That's why I never got to experience that, which is what I'm almost trying to simulate a little bit. But it's too much. Like, nobody is just playing with static plays. Everything is like, oh, you'll do an effect into an effect and like do this kind of crazy shit too quickly, where that's just a result of power creep. It's not even, oh, it's a good deck, because it wouldn't always be like that. So I'll even settle for this because everything is kind of a high curve. I wanted one of these starts where I just make them discard a lot of shit early on. Okay, they're using black themselves here. So the problem with Sarkhan is I'm often not able to protect him. Right, like you even, okay, that'll be my turn 3 play, but even if it was, I won't necessarily be able to. Oh, this looks pretty sick. And that is like that Nico Bolas guy. I think, at least. Oh, this is a pretty sick background and everything. Yeah, the whole Bloomborough thing is maybe moderately interesting. I don't think there were any cosmetics that I really wanted from the reward track, though. That's the one thing that motivates me to either play longer sessions or at least to guarantee that I do the daily quests every time, because of the simple... yeah, this is one of those cards. One of the timeless meta cards that everybody seems to use this. Whenever an opponent draws a card except the first one they draw each turn, they deal 1 damage. But again, that's something I often don't even really do. But at least they're playing on the board a little bit, and I'm always happy when I see their hand sort of run dry like that. See, I almost don't even feel the need to play that because they're just going to kill it. But it may as well just be a taunt for like a single turn.
He told me I would find you.
Discard a card, draw a card. You may as well just do it because everything is too fucking expensive. Oh, here we go. Deals 1 damage to the target. To any target. Oh, that means you're gonna... oh, I was gonna say... that would have meant that you're going to leave Sarkhan alive if you're not gonna do it to that. But you get a buff too, so you can still kill it. Necro Dominance. This will give me good ideas for stuff to potentially make myself, though. Skip your draw step. At the beginning of your end step, you may pay any amount of life if you do draw that many cards. Oh, shit. Your maximum hand size is 5. At least this will be fun because you get to, you know, kind of cuck what he just drew. But this is fascinating. Maybe I should use this actually. Not that I have a mythic card to worry about. Now, what exactly do you have to do? You just have to attack into this without... I don't really use these very often. It's weird seeing my name like that, as though it's like the name of a card or something. Controller, One Quiet Gamer. You have to attack into it, and if you do, then you can get the thing from it. They just have too much stuff on the board, but see, at least losing this way I don't mind as much. Because reveal, you choose a non-land card from it. They're more worried about the discarding shit, but I don't mind this guy either. If they lost life this turn, they reveal the hand and they discard a card. Otherwise, they just discard a card. But otherwise, what? Like, it's only a one-time thing, though. Yeah, some of this shit is just bad on curve, bad value, bad statting. This is like a fucking bullshit kind of card, though. I mean, this is the kind of stuff I hate. It comes with a negative cost, but I don't know. Some of these cards just have way too much impact on the game. Like, I should, since I'm using black, I should use that myself. But it doesn't mention the word discard, so I guess I fucking can't. At least in this iteration of it. Like, draw as much shit as you want, and then kind of have to end the game quickly then, because you're going to be giving up too much life. But then again, if you're sad, yeah, everybody uses that, which I wouldn't even consider this like, oh, it's a meta kind of thing. It's just, it's not even that good, but everybody just seems to like using it. Holy shit, that is a synergy, though. Okay, I'm obviously gonna lose, but yeah, this one doesn't bother me as much because at least I got to play what I played, but they just kind of dealt with it very easily. Yeah, if I get that, it'll really save me. I want one of these that just wins you the game. Like if you, it has like 10 health, and if you destroy it, you just auto win. This guy is like platinum something. I always forget. I always call this like emerald because that stands out more than platinum, which is just like glorified silver. Right, it's almost a rank that everybody forgets even exists. Like, oh, you go from gold to diamond. But no, you actually go from gold to platinum and then diamond. Most of these games use the exact same sort of structure, like whatever, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, and then something else after that that might be unique. Just like how I say every game uses that same structure of, you know, gray, white, green is like uncommon for like item rarity. Then blue is rare. Then epic is purple. Then orange is legendary. Bird folk of valley make their homes in the sky. See, like, what is this lore exactly from, though? This whole burrow thing. Is it from Dungeons and Dragons? Did they steal it from some other universe, like how they steal Lord of the Rings? Like, this game might have actually spoiled certain things for me because some of these things I give them credit because I might not know exactly what the universe is from, like what universe a card or expansion is from. But then I come to find out, oh, it's actually just stolen from something else, like Baldur's Gate or Dungeons and Dragons or something. So as you can see, the common thing with all of my decks is you get fucked on land or you get fucked on just the cost. Everything is so inefficient. I thought I had more low cost things than this, but so like I thought I would just make them discard a couple things at the beginning of the game, but obviously we're getting some ideas from this. We should use the Necro Dominance thing, could be fun, or we could try the regular Shield Dread. So that's like some iteration I want to make of this, though, is like more stuff that is going to be when they draw a card, you gain life, they lose life, that kind of thing. There's a number of cards that do that. And then that one, obviously, Planeswalker has to do with that too. This isn't really worth it because it's 3 mana just to discard one card. And the Power Stone thing isn't that big of a deal. Right, it's got to make them discard like 2 cards. Discard a card. Okay, I'd rather discard this myself. At least it's a decent value thing. Like, finally, I actually get to play something of decent value, like that dragon thing, or like that bone. Actually, that's not a dragon; it's a dinosaur. You know, because it's good value. Dragons are consistently bad value for their cost, where they're understated, whereas dinosaurs are consistently better statted. That's why I like green so much. They like exist above their statting and stuff like that. Use a card in your target's graveyard. Search its owner's clan, library, blah blah blah. Then that player shuffles. Okay, fine. Not a very good card anyway, so I could give less of a shit about it. Like, was I really gonna do something with that to bring it back, or at least we get a 5/5 out there and we get it to stick. See, I can at least live with this card, even though I had to discard something, and even though I'm sometimes short on. You know, those are the 2 things that you have to do more of in better decks. So, like, you have to cycle through your deck more, whether for lands or other things. You have to draw, you know, have a lot more card draw. Those are things I typically don't have. You have to have a lot of removal, which I also don't have because I like to fight it out more so on the board. That'll make them discard. If they don't get the Necro Dominance thing, they could actually be fucked in their hand a little bit. I'm fine with if you actually trade Shield Red into that, but you don't. You're gonna out heal my damage just with that shit alone. This guy you could also attack with, or not really. No, you're gonna rely on the. Okay, like, what are the chances they always get everything every time though? Like, that guy gets fucking 4 of the. Maybe they have 4 of these in there, but which would be kind of redundant. That almost feels like you're never gonna really play 2 of them together, but fuck's sake, dude. Yeah, that totally mitigates the negative effect of that too. Okay, this guy we would never get to play. Okay, man. You can attack with both of these just for the simple fact of you'd either have to trade in and you can't even block the other one, so that's at least something, but you're gonna end up just fucking out healing me here. Pay any amount of life if you do draw that many cards, so you're actually double healing for what you're drawing. You wouldn't ever get rid of that. Okay, I'll lose this one, then I'll do maybe one more best of 3, so whatever. We're at least introducing the black and red, which again, at least I generally like a little bit, and I'll certainly experiment around, mess around with some of this stuff, but this card seems interesting. Maybe I should have saved that mythic card. What did I even use it on? I used it to make this shit, which again, I'm only doing it for the base effect. I don't care about the statting, I don't care about the artifact. I'm doing it just for, at the beginning of your end step, your opponent discards the card. So if the game goes on for a decent amount of time, I do like that effect, but, and maybe I just like the way he looks, that's why I did it, but I love this. You're actually getting a net positive of healing from that. Like, that's so fucking bullshit. At least they're kind of teasing me with cards that I might have, you know. Now at least I can use that myself. Discard a card, he is indestructible. Deal 3 damage to any target, which is not going to be enough. Let's just make the Shivan dragons, and then we can maybe keep playing those. That'll be good for value.
Let the dragons roar, city. It's the paragon of draconic glory.
I don't even care if I'm doing it just for that. Wait, what is it? Indestructible, protection from everything until your next turn, of course. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life for each burden counter. Put a burden counter, then draw a card. So he's getting a little, you know, just over obsessed with card draw here. He's going to end up milling himself out. Which I still don't know whether I've ever seen that happen. I think I might have milled out against like a blue deck, one of those ones that use the crab. But I've rarely seen mill decks in this game, even though people said they were sometimes pretty common. And I rarely see, even common at like the low to mid level, I rarely see games actually ending on that basis of somebody actually decking out, whether it be my opponent or me. Although I don't really see how it would be my opponent, because that happened in a Pokemon game that was kind of hilarious. Like, they had like something that's immune to, I can't remember. It's one of those cards that's like immune to stuff that isn't like X, V, whatever the fuck, right? Some mechanic. And I didn't have any of that mechanic in my deck. And so I couldn't, or I only had that in my deck, so I couldn't win the game. I had no way of actually killing that, so I was going to lose no matter what. But then somehow they decked out before I did, so then I ended up winning. It was something weird like that. And I had even given up and thought I was going to lose, but then I realized, like, wait, it's over, so I must have lost. But then, oh no, I didn't realize that they were actually going to mill out. So that's my sense of honor coming back to reward me, even though I should have just paid more attention and maybe I would have known that was going to happen. Is the simple fact, oh, I'm surprised you ignored that. But it's not like I have a big play with all that shit to do anyway. The fact is that the fact of the matter is that, like, my sense of honor, that I just want to see the game play out. So it's not that I'm not resigning just to waste their time. This would piss people off, though, obviously, in chess. I'm not resigning for the simple reality that I'm trying to actually just see the game play out and make it, you know, give my opponent a chance to see that and everything like this, where you're basically able to, you know, I just want to see a proper conclusion, and so that's satisfying. Like, that's something you never get to see in chess. Everybody always resigns. I would be the dude who actually lets it play out to a full mate, because if you're going to actually take the time to do it, then do it. I don't care about the next game. I don't care about the thing. Play it to an actual proper conclusion. If I'm going to sit there and waste hours of my life, right, I may as well. Or, like, I'd be the type of guy who would never lose until I'm losing on time.
Flames are hungry.
Right, I'd rather... What is my expression? I'd rather lose on time than not use my time, or something like that. Then if I have 30 minutes left, then I feel bad. Like, oh, what was I rushing for, etc., etc. But I still technically haven't lost. This is just kind of like too slow pace of a deck, but it's not good enough to actually guarantee the game is going to last that long. But I guess it lasted a decent amount of time. I got to look at it for a second, though, and see, why is the curve so high? Because I thought I had some lower cost cards, even if all of them are just basically maybe stuff that makes my opponent discard a card. Yeah, I'll do one more just to try to see some of this play out. This guy's deck wasn't as annoying, though, as the other one, but if you take away this card, he's basically just fucked, right? It relies too much on this. So if I just had a way of removing that, or... This game does go against some inherent spirit of mine with, like, you know, if I'm so much about playing on the board, since you can't attack stuff on the board, it just completely, you know what I mean? It invalidates my style of play, because it doesn't matter what I have on the board. Sure, I can still beat them in a raw number sense. Like, I just have too much stuff and they can't handle it and they can't block it or remove it. That's fine. But because I can't get rid of their effects, I end up getting fucked over because of that. At least I'll get to do my little fucking effect that I like so much. Which is this, you know, between this lantern and the other thing. What is it called? The, between the lantern and the fucking other thing. The painful quandary, right? Those are two pretty fun things to play two together. And again, I wouldn't have even necessarily made those myself. But somebody had mentioned them, that they seem like in my style of play, which they kind of are, but... You know, just end it quickly, because you have to. This is what makes you think he's even a bot. But if this game does have bots, they're much more impressive, because at least the decks they use are a lot more elaborate than what you'd expect. But just because it's a bot doesn't mean it has to be like Hearthstone, where they're just using like very basic shitty cards like Raid Leader and fucking just Dire Wolf, whatever. Okay, we'll give it one more. We don't really have a permadeath thing to go back and forth between. Wait, how close am I to the daily quest? Why does it feel like I'm never doing those lately? 14 out of 20, 14 out of 20. Oh, I thought this one was... Huh, whatever. We should at least be able to do those two between here. Both to do with red. But yeah, let me look at this for a second. For the simple reality of what is my curve so fucked at? We have, you know, 1 cost card, 2 cost card, 2 cost card, 2 cost card. We do have a decent amount of low cost things. I mean, But again, a lot of them might just have to do with discarding cards, like making my opponent discard cards. And I do have those 2 cards that are good. The one we just saw, or at least good within what I like to do as far as board control. It's the 3 mana 5/5 that requires you to discard a card, which I don't mind. And then we have the 3 mana 7/6, which is like, it requires you to discard a card at the end of every turn. So I don't mind those effects even, because if they stay out for that long, you presume you're going to be winning anyway, or in a very good board position. Yeah, you get a lot of skewed matchups, maybe just partly because of the best of 3 format with respect to the simple fact. Okay, we have a good amount of land, so I'm always happy with that. In fact, we almost have so much land that I'll get rid of one of them. But no, I'm getting cucked on the low cost cards a little bit, which I'm surprised by. Okay, hurry it up, dude. Fucking gonna be roping on turn 1. What is it even called in this game? Like hourglassing, I guess. Bro. What the fuck? Yeah, really. Hourglassing on turn 1. Okay, bro. Yeah. I'm streaming on Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi is gonna fucking charge me extra. Not that it does, but just like... Relax, dude. Hurry up. This is good to reduce the cost. See, here's a good example of an actual good value card. 4 mana, 4/4 with flying. Forget about even all the other effects. Exile top 2 cards of opponent's library face down. You may look at the play of the card as long as they remain exiled. I don't even care about that effect, although I could technically do it because I do have black. Right, so I should almost try to play into high. It's ironic because this is a hybrid deck with no hybrid cards. Like, you're using red and black, but you're also deciding to... What? Oh, no, we're too early. We're also deciding to... But I don't want to play it like that. Like, that's all it'll do. It won't even summon a fucking minion. Okay, Underworld Dreams. Whenever opponent draws a card... Okay, that's kind of... See, that's not a big deal. That's really not that big of a deal for 3... Like, yeah, so if the game drags on, which it probably will, I'll lose because of it, but... Let's just get the fucking 4/4 out there, and I'll be very happy to see it. Fine with me. They kind of put this in an annoying spot. Like, you should be able to click a button. I could have a hotkey that just auto progresses. You shouldn't have to always go down to that part of the thing. Rusco Clockmaker. Conjure a card named Midnight Clock on the battlefield. Now we're gonna still get fucked over with respect to... This one's kind of annoying because... Discards 2 cards. You know what? I will do it because... Wait, what? Oh shit, you can do all 3 of them, but I didn't necessarily want to do it. Whoops. I didn't mean to do that because I was happy with the minion I actually had. Fuck. Put an hour on the Midnight Clock when 12 hours put on the clock. Exile Midnight Clock, then draw 7 cards. But yeah, it just doesn't matter because they're gonna have too much fucking card draw and everything. Okay, I kind of overdid it, but I was trying to flex what the value of that actually is, but now I have a decent amount of shit in my hand where I could see, like, what if I just keep farming Shivan Dragons and they can't deal with this? That would be pretty good, but I need 1 more land. Give me 1 more. Oh, yes. See, now we can just keep doing that, and we'll just win because of this amazing value, clearly, that we're going to get, which actually could be partly true. The one thing this guy doesn't have is, like, a big payoff play with respect to the simple fact of, you know, like, oh, for 7 you can do like some crazy... Okay, but see, that's not going to be good enough if you just keep wasting a removal. It's going to have to be 10 more turns of this stupid shit or whatever. But he's not putting out much board presence. He's just going to win because of other effects. And as you can tell, I can never deal with those actual effects and enchantments and stuff. But I do like this perpetual value that you'd be getting. So we have a good amount of land, so we're just gonna lose to the base shit of whenever opponent casts a spell, that player oh shit. That could be a good thing in some other context, but and of course a spell doesn't just mean an actual removal spell, it just means anything. That's kind of a fun. If I combine this with the other, there's a number of things you can combine that with to piss your opponent off. I'm just gonna die because of this. Wow, that is a fascinating card, actually. I like that. Again, in and of itself, I don't mind the card Underworld Dreams, because it's 3 mana just for that. It's not that big of a deal if you could just get rid of it. You know, compare that to, like, just play Shield Red for, like, whatever, 5 for a 4 mana 5 for a 4/5 minion that also has the ability to basically whatever. It's just not that big of a deal. Right, so 3 mana just for that 1 damage effect is not that big of a deal compared to whatever. It's something that's going to do like 2 every time you draw a card and heal you and also have board presence and all this kind of other shit. I'm waiting to misplay the lands where, like, I could have played something. Like, even there, I just did. I could have played something, but I played the wrong color of land in sequence. Sacrifice an enchantment, which, hey, that could have saved my life last game. But, you know, let's get rid of that thing. Since it played such a big role last game. In fact, that alone was the whole... Okay, dude. Having multiple cards of the copies of the same card, that's such a cheese thing to do because... Fuck it, I'll do this even before I summon a goddamn minion. Just to be able to do the effect, and of course you could do it multiple times over. Sacrifice an on-land permanent or discard a card. Okay, fine. Which, again, they can maybe just tank that, but it's okay. But yeah, just let me get something actually going, though. That's fine. Okay. Enters, they sacrifice a card. What is this again? Until each planeswalker becomes that, create a 4/4. Why don't I just do this first, and then I'll figure out. We'll do this, we'll do this. I just need like a more mid-rangey style matchup where it's not like they always have this crazy win condition in the long term, but that's what mid-range has basically become in this game. Not that I even entirely know what it was like before, but we're at such a far out stage of the game. And again, you might say, then why play Timeless? But I want to play Timeless to play older stuff, not to play newer stuff, but maybe to mix it in, and I'm obviously doing that. Like, this is from the newest expansion, but... It's just hard, but there's got to be a certain format you can do, but the format has to be just a sense of honor where people don't always use bloated fucking power creeped out shit with such a clear win condition or whatever, but we might still have something going here. Yeah, this is almost like my first experience using black at all in Constructed. I feel like I've very rarely used it. Maybe I've used a couple black cards, but I mainly used it in Arena. Like I said, in the drafts, the whole game is Arena. Haha, I say that every time because that's what it's called in Hearthstone. Is the Arena mode is the draft mode. And yeah, drafting in this game is way more, even as a person who loves Hearthstone so much, and even was pretty good at drafting and whatever. The point is that the drafting in this game is way more fucking complicated. There's no doubt about that. Where you would only choose between 3 cards every time there, and there's no timer and all this kind of other stuff. You go ahead, you do that, and again, the 3 life maybe isn't even bothering him all that much. We could do maybe the Sarkhan dude here. Create a 4/4 with flying. Okay, fine. Certain cards you'll just see a lot. That's what Timeless means. It means that certain cards are timeless and everybody will be using them all the time forever. Not that you actually have timeless old cards like, you know, let's try to mix up all the... Oh, shit. Like, how the fuck do you play around that then? Okay, you might be almost just fucking dead though anyway. If you take the 3 damage, then I can just kill you because you can't block this shit, so you have to discard something. The problem is his dumbass is gonna heal. Yeah, do it again. Do it again. Fuck you, dude. Unfortunately, I can't play anything, though, or I'll just die. Or does the land count as a spell now, too? For fuck's sake. I mean, I'd be very close to winning, but look at his inability to deal with the fucking lantern and shit, too. Stupid ass shit, though. Stupid ass shit because of the heal. But he's kind of not doing anything a lot of the time. Maybe I could afford to play like one thing, but I think the main thing I want to do is just do this like twice, which would almost force his hand to get rid of something consequential, and then I could hit you with the 4, so I might be like 1 damage short though, because you can't afford to lose the life. You have to give up something, which could be a big deal. Right, you can't take the 3, so you have to get rid of something. Which if it's this, it would allow me to maybe play something else, or... Okay, I gotta still be careful. Come on, bro. If I lose now, I'm gonna be so fucking done with this game, dude. You, like, look, dude. He'll still have a play. He'll still have a play that lets him come back. Somehow, some way, you'll just do some crazy shit. Let's just do that. I'm not even doing that for BM. I just wanted to win because of that. The lantern rather than any other effect. So somehow we won that against a gold player in Timeless. You see? So clearly that validates my deck. But I think it was very fluky. I was even doubting it as it was happening. So let's see if we can win the best of 3. It doesn't mean that all these things always go their way. It just means that the power creep will sort of steer it more in that direction. You know... I'm gonna get fucked on land and lose because of it, but I'll still do it. But some of the visuals of this game were kind of understated. Like, that was a cool effect, but they maybe don't do enough of that, or only certain cards get those animations when you summon them. It's very low, like, ambition when it comes to that. The voice acting, the cosmetics, whatever. So we get to do the stupid-ass beetle, which is not really very good, but... 2 mana 1/1. This is where my values have come to. Yeah, let me just play some cheap little dragons on the curve and maybe something good could happen. Okay, everybody uses that. Very unoriginal, uncreative kind of card. They still have to do it though. Which again, there's no real theme to it, but I guess the theme is just, you know, you do it for the sake of doing it. Like, I'm making you discard a lot of cards, not because it really does anything for me, just whatever. That's somehow the mechanic I just decided on here. This is good if you have 5 or more, 6 or more lands, which, to be fair, in most of these games I've been getting a decent amount of lands. This is the first one where I didn't start with a ton of them. This thing you could easily just remove. And what is all this here? Okay. Yeah, see, that's the problem with that one, is it never ends up actually doing anything for me. This is one of those fucked mana turns, so that I can't do anything about it. Bro is literally me with the love for hexproof, but actually I don't care so much about myself. I could give hexproof to others, but not myself, because it doesn't matter as much. It's not as satisfying. This is... what is the effect again with the 2 out of 4? If there are 4 or more creatures in your graveyard, you can transform it, or I guess maybe you have to transform it. Yeah, that's really my ultimate consensus, is I always crave like just an older version of the game to be able to play, and maybe the best way to try to do that is some other... It's like you want the best of both worlds. So I want to play it, but I want to play... Okay, I shouldn't have even bothered doing that. I want to play it, but I want to play, like, again, not in the most competitive thing, which you would think at a low rank, you would get that. Like, people were even saying that. Somebody was getting triggered one episode a couple weeks back. Like, oh, why are you playing stuff that you know isn't good or whatever? But... Wait, you can convoke? I kind of like that, actually. Let's just go for it. So that'll be haste. That'll be blockable. But again, it's not the greatest thing. And it's kind of almost like a desperation play. He's not doing the best job of dealing with my minions in before he actually just does it. So I might actually win. So I might beat a gold player in a best of 3 in Timeless just with a shitty deck. Again, not that all the cards are shitty, but it has no real true cohesion to it. You're trying to make them discard stuff, which I barely even was doing, and isn't going to win you the game. Summoning a couple of dragons and shit. Maybe this will end up losing me the game, though. Whenever the deals count damage to a player. I'm assuming I'm going to win, but what if I don't? That's why I was trying to do some other shit. Or wait. I thought we already went through this, though. What? Yeah, some of these cards, I'll just make a deck like that. It'll be the timeless gimmick meta. It'll be a gimmick meta deck, which there's no such thing because that goes go again. Okay, he doesn't destroy my minions very well, by the way. I don't care. I don't care. The point is that I would make a gimmick deck just based around every card that's used in so many of these decks, like the Orcish Bow thing. I'll have 4 of those, and then I'll have 4 mana drains. Even if it doesn't end up actually being good, it'll be like all these overused cards together with no cohesion to them. Okay, you win because you got to do that shit twice, I guess. I don't know how, or I may be misremembering. I don't know. I don't care. Just go. Haste, double team. I can't really do anything with that. I'm obviously gonna lose now. Like, that was just it. That's all it took. Okay. But at least we beat him in one game. That's still a moral victory, but we almost just beat him here too. What was that he just did? There is like some weird slant with the curve in this game. Like, once you get to the higher cost, it doesn't just make the card. There's some truth to that in a lot of card games, but it doesn't just make the cards better. It makes them go from good to like god level, right? Just you know, insane value at certain points. Which is not really the case with this guy here, but demons, dragons, and what else? Demons, dragons, and something. Sounds quite a combination. Sounds like a good Friday night. Well, what could be the third thing that we're attributing to this? That healing is fucking nasty, though. Or maybe you could say, oh, he won that one on purpose because he knew it was going to be a best of 3 anyway, so he'd have another chance, so he wasn't trying. Because he knew he was going to win the match overall. Yeah, this should be a much better play. It's just sacrifice an artifact, improvise artifacts. Your artifacts can help you cast a spell. Each artifact you tap his for 1. I mean, I shouldn't just lose just because I feel like I'm going to, but whatever. We'll mess around with these a little bit. We certainly saw some interesting cards that maybe I'd consider making myself, but then again, I can't really make them bud so much. Shouldn't I be able to play this guy now anyway? Well, I guess not. Okay, whatever, dude. We at least got a moral victory there. I almost want to do like one more, but you know what? Fuck it. I'll do. Just the style of these games is somehow unsatisfying. Like, let me see. Could I play this in historic if I wanted to? Like, would it be playable? Wait, really? I'm confused. Is that the same deck I was just using that I can actually just use in timeless and historic? So not a single card. That doesn't seem right. So there's nothing in there that would prevent me from using it in historic. Let me double check actually. I almost don't believe it. Normally I always get cucked by something like that. Traditional, historic, ranked. Is that actually the same deck? I guess it is. That's fascinating. So again, I'll still play timeless, or maybe I don't need to then. Maybe I could go back to historic because the only reason why I was playing timeless is because some of the stuff I wanted to use, like all the hexproof stuff, some of it required it to be in timeless, I think. or still you get to see a wider variety of cards in the game, but this might be at least a little less competitive. But people will still be using meta stuff, which is still better than whatever I'm always using, but it's also a case of, you know, just, it's sort of like me playing the game backwards in a way. Like, I still want to have the base kind of earlier, more, you know, normal experience before I use all this kind of whatever, this power creep bloated out shit. But people don't look at it like that because I never had the experience with the game early on, so I should maybe be playing online instead of this game. But Magic the Gathering King, yeah, this try-harding at a surface level is kind of a little disturbing. Again, a lot of this stuff is a little high cost. I'd celebrate to have just a 5-mana 5/5. Anytime I have this much land, I'll just keep it because, you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather not get cucked in that way. You gotta make sure you just sort of give some love to both sides, though, of the land. It's amazing I haven't had that much issue with land, though, because I only have 20 of them in there, which might not seem like a low number, but sometimes they get fucked over. Well, you could play that, but it's just not really the time. Malevolent Rumble. Create a 0/1 creature with sacrifice and add a mana. Okay. You go to this, you go, that's no good. Discards 2 cards, mills 2 card. Yeah, like, why not just do that? It doesn't have any downside to it. Demogorgon's Clutches. So no, that one card I kind of underestimated, but it still makes you do it too. Like, both players discard 2 cards and lose 2 life. They lose 4 life and do the, you know, whatever. But it lets you at least choose that. Now, this guy couldn't be using something meta because he has so many cards, 120 cards, but, you know, sometimes I'll get clowned by stuff like that too. But it is pretty awesome that I can just somehow use this in Historic. Idol of the False Gods. Whenever an Eldrazi you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter. Yeah, Barbarian, Warmonger, this thing, flying. Target opponent discards 2 cards. Let's just keep doing this. How about that? It doesn't matter what I choose even. We're just kind of cucking him pretty hard here. But he's going to have a ton of card draw, and there's nothing I can do about it because he has like fucking 200 cards in his deck, so you're not going to like deck the guy out. There's something you desire about, like, you know, suboptimal decks or evenly matched decks that lead to like a top deck mode where both players are in top deck. You have to make the best of what you have. That I always kind of glorify that in arena type modes, draft type settings, right, where you're not always going to use everything optimal in the optimal way. When it enters, each opponent discards a card. Let's do it again. Or at least getting to do some of this shit here. That'll be what makes all the difference. Just by playing in Historic, you actually get to see your interactions play out. It doesn't mean you always win because of them, but look at the hard commit to the discard. But again, if he just has simple things that let him draw cards, he'll win the game because of it. Because, you know, yeah, sometimes if they show you a card once, it shouldn't do that, where you always know what it is. They wouldn't have to show it to you for the rest of the game. They could just show it to you for, you know, if something reveals their hand. You should still have to remember it, but they just happen to reveal it at one point. Okay, you're getting the +1 counter. That's fine. This has haste. You just go face. Put it into your hand. That's fine with me. And we get a decent value play there. We have a decent amount of land. Some of this stuff is way too expensive, and this is even a bad thing because it would give him too much card draw. See, for all that effort to make him discard stuff, what does it end up doing for me? Nothing. Like, he's still just gonna be fine because whatever I'm doing is way too slow and inefficient. But how? What? Okay, that is a new level of cuckery in my life. I've never seen that kind of cuckery. We have like way excess lands, but you happen to not have the one correct color for it. That is unbelievable. This is a very good effect if you keep letting me do it, but of course I get cucked again. So whatever, we could even sacrifice this for the extra fucking shit. Or maybe I could have already done. No, I don't care. The other effect doesn't seem all that good to me though. Okay, let's see what his crazy win condition is gonna be. 8 or more, it's a 0/0 creature and has Annihilator 2, which means defending whenever this creature attacks, they sacrifice 2 permanents. Okay. You do the convoke shit. I just hate that so much. Like, I can't even believe it, dude. Whatever, at least we're getting decent minion presence, but we're probably going to lose before we ever get to do anything. Give me another dragon. It's not like this is a dragon deck that has like fucking 15 of them in there. It's more so that a lot of the cards just mention dragons, though. Okay, it's getting there. There's nothing I can do about it. The 2/3... The pace of this would have favored me, but it just takes me like a fucking hour to actually do anything, and you keep doing this shit. Like, what the fuck? If I just had a way to remove this. You have 6 or more land, which you actually do. So, but he's just gonna remove it. Like, how do you really keep this thing alive is the big question. Wait, you can still do that? Now, you have a decent board, and I can't complain about it, but create a treasure token, and you also have the simple ability to not even be able to block it anymore with the flying. So now we should almost just win this next following turn. Right, what other effect? We can make a 6/6, or sorry, a 5/5. It's just like, in whatever few times I played this card, I never, for some reason I thought there was like an enchantment that had that same effect. When I first did it, I didn't realize it was a minion. You should almost just have enough to do whatever you want here anyway. Right, you can only block one thing. We're gonna have 2 things with flying. Yeah, you're dead. Okay. Yeah, maybe Historic is less competitive, but that, that wasn't like the greatest game by probably either of us. But that's just a fortuitous thing. Is that why I was doing timeless? Just so I could use like more cards? Because it's not like I made this deck thinking about, oh, let me try to filter out for anything. I was just using whatever I felt like using anyway. And it just so happened to fit into this, which is kind of uncanny. You have a good amount of that shit. You're never going to be able to play some of this shit anyway. But I am sometimes getting to the point where I have a decent amount of land, so I can't complain too much. Idle False God. Okay, that's his kind of little gimmick that he's trying to go for, which was evidently very slow despite potentially being good. You would keep attacking with the 0/0, and it would allow you to make me sacrifice 2 things, but what if it doesn't? Like, what if I just block it with something and kill it then? Get a treasure token, that's fine with me. You can put another thing down, you can put this down. When it enters the battlefield, you can pay 3 extra due to offspring, which I'm not going to wait for that shit. You can make him discard 2 cards, which seem to bother him at least a little bit. Search your library for card, shuffle it, put it on top. Okay. Insatiable Avarice. You can make him discard 2 cards, or you can make him do that. Sometimes I'm even prioritize. Okay, just make him discard everything. How about that? And I haven't gotten a chance to break that shit open so far. Discard 2 cards, so it's kind of a moot point whether you pay 6. I don't know what exactly happened there. But yeah, let me try to do that actually. So what would we get? Just a 2/2. Sacrifice the treasure. Gain double strength. You know what? Sure. Doesn't that mean that if he tries to block it, it would target up to 1 creature. I think that's what that would mean. So either you would kill that, or you would, or does it not count because it's like first strike? No, that's still good. And even it has double strike, so you should still hit that again, but that's fine. It would have just killed it then. Grave Expectations, heist target opponent's graveyard. Or no, I mean library. Look at 3 cards, exile one of them face down. You may cast a card as long as it remains exiled. You may spend mana as though mana at any time to cast that spell. Good thing I played so much Yu-Gi-Oh! Because then I can just breeze through reading these fucking card tags. What, I won't even know what it is? I'll just make you fucking discard it again. I don't give a shit. So we go here, we go here. Target opponent loses 3 life unless they sacrifice non-land permanent or discard a card. They might just do the stupid Eldrazi thing. Or they won't do anything. Alright, so they'll obviously block. And the reason why is because they'll keep adding shit to this. Whatever it is they're trying to do, it is very slow and inefficient, and it would take a long time to get this shit to pay off. So, again, what they're using is maybe not really all that good or all that optimal. Speaking of which, is shitty fucking value dragon. And now you know for sure they don't have anything left. I want to be able to play this guy, but you need like one more black, I guess, to do it. So both of these will have haste. You just go all in with everything, except... Fuck it, I'll just do it. So now we'll get whatever we want from this, which is not even really that good. We keep getting cucked with that effect. At the beginning of your opponent's upkeep, if it has 2 or fewer cards in hand, deal 2 damage to them. So you are going to be in a bit of a pickle here. Where, again, you can't guarantee this, though. They're just going to have card draw or whatever. And it would take so long for that to really have a major effect. Why didn't you just block something, though? You could have, like, blocked that, and it would have traded in. Or it wouldn't even trade, you know, it would be favorable. So now you need one more black. Right, so I don't think I really even have the chance to play this. Ah, fuck off. There's a 4/5, which means I can't do actually anything. But this is the thing, I should still do it and not even care, because you can only block one of them, so I'll just deal with it and I'll get in a certain amount of damage anyway. You should block the 4/3 though. Why is he doing all these suboptimal block opportunities? Bro, can I just get this fucking guy out there? Or he wants to get rid of the fairies effect, which I can understand. And I'm going to lose the whole game because this guy's going to cock block me the whole time. Right, because I'll never actually be able to summon anything. I still can't do it though. This spell costs 1 less to cast, okay. You should almost just still keep doing this. Right, even if you block something, I don't care, because I'm going to try to get in as much face damage as you can. And this is a good effect, which hasn't been very good to me though. Put a random dragon, that's good. You just assume you're going to keep filling up the board, so I don't care if you keep blocking one thing per turn with it. Do you go for the highest attack value, or do you go for the effect? And the answer is that, so I'll still hit you for 3. So you are going to win just on this token alone. So yeah, maybe I'll do Historic then. What a great overlap until I decide to change the deck, and then I'll want to put something in it that, you know, that happens to not be Historic. Which you would think Historic means you can use any card in the history of the game. But oh, finally he does something different though. Annihilator 1. Whenever it attacks, you have to sacrifice permanent. He's got a bit of a good little gimmick theme going for himself, which is kind of fun. But let's see if we can end it before this happens. And we probably should be able to. This will be haste. There should be no way. Yeah. And I'm not even trying to BM, I'm just, whatever, being extra sure, but you have nothing even in your hand. Yeah, I don't say I enjoy or don't enjoy based on whether I win or not, it's just, whatever. The style of play is at least a little better in Historic. Okay, see you tomorrow.